Hi, and welcome to the Merryweather Knitting Podcast. My name is Gabriella, and I'm coming to you from my home in Germany, where I live with my husband and our daughter and our little cat. And this is the place that I like to talk about all that I've been knitting, making, and inspired by during the week. So if you're a new viewer, welcome. And if you are a returning viewer, it's so lovely to have you back. I hope you'll get cozy and maybe grab something to knit, something to drink, and just join me for a little while. This last week, I've been knitting a lot on my little scrappy project, which I'll share with you. When I say a lot, for me, I'm not the most prolific, most fast knitter, but for me, it's really good. The progress I've made feels very satisfying, so I'm excited to share it with you. This blanket that I shared last time, it's just the start of a blanket, but I've been working this week a lot on adding squares to this. I think last week I had about 7 squares, and now I added 5 more squares since we last spoke. Almost a square a day, which for me feels like wonderful progress. It looks to me more and more like a blanket. I can see how it's going to progress and become a little real piece of knitting that can be used as a blanket or as something. I don't know yet. I've been really, as this has been progressing, I've been really thinking about what I want this to be in the end. I had thought originally that it would just be like a little baby blanket or just even a doll blanket if I don't have enough scraps to make a complete baby blanket. But seeing this patchwork kind of display has inspired me a lot. And I know right now there are so many gorgeous, unique patchwork kind of garments that are coming out. There are lots of really beautiful accessories that are patchwork inspired, often crocheted, which I really love crochet, the look of crocheted patchwork or granny square kind of garments and accessories, and also blankets, but knitted ones as well. It's also really nice to see this just little patchwork knitted pieces. So I considered almost making this into some kind of a wearable piece, but I think I'm going to stick with kind of a household accessory with decor rather than with garment or accessory, because I don't know, I think it fits better with this one. I've been thinking, I kind of almost went through a moment of regret and almost consideration. I almost considered ripping back a few of these squares and kind of starting fresh, making the blanket kind of a checkered blanket with a white or cream yarn between each of these kind of speckled, scrappy pieces. I thought it would look really cool. I've seen that before too in blankets that are kind of they're like a checkerboard of, a cream yarn or a plain colored yarn, and then the kind of more variegated or speckled or, scrappy yarn. So it's like one after the other, kind of like all checkered through. And I really like the way that looks. I think it really makes it all into one thing, kind of. It really like blends it all together, and it also kind of makes it look a little bit more, it elevates a little bit more for me in my perception of it. I love scrappy rustic look, the scrappy rustic look of just a regular kind of patchwork blanket or a scrappy blanket. I think that's so cute. I talked about that as well previously, that I think this kind of rustic, cozy, homey feel that a totally kind of almost chaotic selection of scraps gives is something I really love, and something that I feel so warm and so homey and so welcoming. But I think this is something which, with these colors, which are often like a lot of pinks, bright colors, because a lot of my sock scraps, as well as the extra minis I have, tend to be really bright and vibrant and wild colors, because I love those colorways. I'm drawn to them, but I usually use that yarn for socks a lot of the time. Like these crazy variegated colors are mostly, my sock yarns, the ones that aren't from like a mini skein set. These are all kinds of like sock yarns, and they don't really match the decor of my home. As you can see, I don't think this really goes together with this. As you can see behind me, I don't think I could put this in this room, for example, but I could put this in my daughter's room. Her room is like kind of it's very colorful too, but she has like walls which are painted. How would you describe the color? It's kind of like a bluer shade of mint, almost. It's a greenish, bluish, very light, almost minty color, but mint is just not the right word for it. I don't know what you'd use to describe it. It's a very light, kind of clean looking greenish blue tone. I don't know. I feel like I need to put a photo or show it to you, because mint just doesn't fit it, but I don't know what other word to use. But she has like a wall in her room, which is that color. And then in her room, I've like put up kind of silk fabric of different colors that kind of coat, that like blend with that. So that I have like an orange one and another bluish one, like a little bit of a darker blue-green shade. It's like a silky kind of a fabric that I've hung from the ceiling. And it's kind of just like this, because she has a very small room, it kind of makes it this little cozy, little cave-ish room. And it's not completely like that, but just a couple of little corners. And then she has a carpet, which also has these tones in it, a little bit of orange and this bluish color, and then another carpet, which has those tones. So it's like it's like a tangerine orange, not like a bright orange. It's more like a tangerine, and then like a very light, pale, not really pale, a light but vibrant greenish blue tone. And then she has little birds hanging in her room, like these they're like little kind of ceramic birds that are like parrots and parakeets. Like she's like a few of those hanging up. So it's kind of a very light tropical decor style. I don't know how to explain it really. It's really hard. But then she has some furniture, which is then white. So it's like this she has a very light, bright, lightly tropical kind of room color scheme. I feel like this explanation is going to give you not a hugely accurate image. I hope that it can give you some kind of image of her room. But these colors can fit in this design. I feel like this kind of like little bit of tropical, almost like a Southwestern kind of color scheme, like lightly. I don't know, I'm trying to find adjectives, trying to find words that fit how to describe it. But long story short, this would fit in her room, this color scheme. So that's a good thing because, you know, it needs to fit somewhere. If I'm going to make a big blanket or even a small blanket, it needs to fit somewhere in our home. And I could imagine giving this away as a gift too, but it is very scrappy. I know that's not necessarily everybody's cup of tea. So yeah, I consider ripping it back and putting little squares in it and making it like cream or white, kind of checkerboard through the whole thing. But of course, I'm not going to do that. Instead, what I think I'm going to do, although I'm of course not decided yet and it could change at any moment, is I think I'm going to do this as a 5x5 square, like a giant square full of these, because right now this is 5. Right now I'm on the third row. If I make it 5x5, and then I do a big, either like another square that's the same size, that's either in cream or white, or that's like then checkered with scraps, then like checkered, scrap, white. Then I attach those two together and then maybe do the same thing. So it's like a big 4x4 of these squares, if that makes sense. So it's like this one, another one just like this one with only scraps, and then these two corners, either cream or white, or like checkered with scraps. Or I remember, you know, there's definitely all kinds of yarns, but finding then either a hand-dyed or not a sock yarn that is just a cream or natural or white base with just colorful speckles all over it. So it's like, you know, speckled. I think that could be very playful and also very appropriate for like a child's room. I think that could also fit. But here's the first one, which is just from a set I had, this little set of little minis I had bought a few years ago. And it's kind of a cool, really fun, dark purple with pink, kind of some fuchsia in there. It's really beautiful and dark, and it adds a little pop among all of these brighter, more vibrant colors. This kind of darker color adds just a little bit of contrast, which I think is really cool. And this one I put after that, I thought it, you know, it was kind of a little off mismatch from this one, but kind of drew blues from the rest of this and brought that kind of together, I thought. And really, there's not a huge, I'm making this up as I go along, so I don't really have much of a plan for it. It really is just spontaneous and wild and a little mismatched, and that's fun and fine for me. I put another one of these blue squares here because I have this yarn, and I think this yarn is just so gorgeous. This is a silk cashmere merino, I think, blend that I had made a shawl for my grandmother out of, and it's just absolutely beautiful. It feels so soft, and feeling the sock yarn and then feeling this little like moment of soft cloud in the blanket is really absolutely gorgeous. So I really like that. And then I put another one of these squares too, because I thought it will maybe just bring the whole thing together. And I have quite a bit of this yarn from a pair of socks I knit a couple of years ago. And so that is what I have so far. I think I'll put one more, if I have enough, I'll put one more of these squares up at the top, maybe somewhere later on in this little piece, because it's really a huge contrast from the other yarns I have at the bottom. I think it'll bring it together a bit. I think the next one I'm going to do is going to be hopefully like a pink, because I feel like now I need pink in this row. But, you know, it's all dependent on what I have and what's available and what if I have enough scraps for things. So it's a very spontaneous, very free, fun project. I really, really am loving it. I'm loving the scrappy project. And there are just so many gorgeous scrappy projects going on right now in the world. Like, oh my gosh. Kay, the crazy sock lady, I feel like is the scrappy queen with her scrappy Sundays. And I love the idea of, if you don't know Kay, you should definitely check out her podcast and her videos. She's so amazing and so sweet and so cool. She, I think, is like a huge inspiration for many of us who like scrappy socks. I'm so now also in the mood to knit a pair of scrappy socks after seeing her scrappy socks and so many other people who've been knitting the scrappy socks. It's just so much fun. And I've never done that before. I've never knit a pair of scrappy socks. I just think it's such a fun, cool idea. So it's probably going to be some point in my future, somewhere in my future, I'm going to have a pair of scrappy socks. But anyway, that's my little scrappy project, my little patchwork blanket. Let's see what I have to show you next time. But right now, I've just been so enjoying knitting squares on this project. I'm knitting it on size 2 needles, these beautiful bamboo needles that I had for ages and ages. They're bent, you can see, but they're just basic needles I got. The little Pony brand needles that I think I got at Joann Fabrics in the States, probably when I was about 16 or 17. So I love these little faithful bamboo needles, and it's really, really fun to have them. They're just kind of my blanket project needles. I don't know what it is, but knitting with wooden needles is really something I enjoy. I love the feel. I love the warmth. I really do feel a difference in just holding them. And I feel like, you know, with stainless steel needles, which is my usual, you know, needle of choice, it's usually stainless steel. The stitches just slip off the needle. And it's really like, with these, you have to go a little bit more intentionally, and it is a little bit more slow, but it's a lot of fun. So I really, really love these needles and love knitting with them. It's just been so much fun. So that's my scrappy project. Before I continue, I'm going to get myself a little sip of tea. Today I have some fennel tea. Uh-oh, I can't let the thing, I'm holding it in my little teapot, which the lid, I think I talked about this last time, but the lid of this little teapot, which I always carry my tea in, unfortunately broke. But that's okay. I have it. It's okay. It still works. And it keeps the tea warm for a very long time because the little opening is very, very small. But today I have fennel tea, which I'm going to enjoy. I love fennel tea. I feel like in Germany, fennel tea is a big thing. People drink it all the time for stomach aches or just in general. I feel like fennel tea is a common tea people offer. And in the States, fennel tea was something I didn't know, wasn't as familiar with. But this fennel, light, anisey kind of flavor and scent is just so delicious and so yummy. It's a real treat. So I have my little cup and saucer today, which is a special one because this belonged to my husband's grandparents. They had a set of these beautiful teacups and teapot and coffee pot, and we have that set and we use it every day, almost every day. This teapot, we love to use the teapot to make our pot of tea with. My husband Nick is also a big tea drinker. He's really like a huge tea drinker, and every morning we have white tea, and every evening we have Sister Rosa tea, which is kind of like I don't know if it's an herb really. It's an herb, I guess, but it has lots of health benefits and it's super delicious. So we really, really enjoy it. But it's not for everybody because some people we show it to or we offer it to when they're visiting us have not liked it and have found the flavor, they haven't liked the flavor, but we love it and we drink it all the time. And it's very, very good for you. In fact, like drinking it is antibacterial. So yeah, it's a really amazing tea. And it has like more polyphenols than like anything else, this kind of tea, Sister Rosa. So we enjoy that. But today I'm drinking fennel tea. Oh, it's so, so delicious. But anyway, I'm going to share with you my next couple of projects. As you know, my next projects have been on the needles for a while, so I hope that's okay. I'm just going to share with you my progress, the progress I've made. The first one I'll share with you is my sock project, which last week I had nothing to show you in regards to that project because I had lost the needles, or the needles had disappeared. Esmeralda had stolen them and hid them, but now I found them. She brought them back to me. One of them she did bring back to me physically. The other one just reappeared. So I guess those things happen. It just wasn't the week for me last time to work on these socks, and now it is the week again. Although, I will be honest with you, I have not made much progress. I'm hoping that next week I will have more progress to show you with these socks because I really love them. I'm enjoying them so much. I want to just sit and knit on them for a while and enjoy the pattern repeats and the little lace and cables. You know, although I'm still knitting on these very happily, it's taking me so long. I think it's because because I took this big break. Last week I didn't knit on them because I lost the needles and I didn't want to go find another pair. So I just knit on other things. And also because I took that whole entire month break when I was in the States and I came back to this project. I am ready to cast off. I am ready to have them finished. I am ready to have them put away and give them to the recipient of them. I really am ready for that. I'm ready to cast on another pair of socks. But I rarely cast on 2 pairs of socks at once. Although, honestly, what's stopping me? I could do it. It's just I feel like I might lose steam if I could do that. So, yeah, I want to have these finished soon so that I can really go into summer sock camp and just knit, because I feel like I can't really start my summer sock camp unless these are done. So these better be done quickly because that starts very soon. But yeah, here I am. Since you last saw these, I had not had the heel. Now the heel has been knit. It looks very tight, but that's okay. It will stretch out. And I'm now just knitting the decreases for the gusset, as you can see. Just a little bit. I've done so little, honestly. But now at this point, it kind of flies by. Once you're at this point, I think decreases, foot, toe, Kitchener, it's all done. It's all good. And I think that, one of these evenings, I'm just going to go ahead and just knit pattern repeat after pattern repeat. What's really practical about having the pattern repeat on these socks is that I will know exactly where I was on the previous sock without having to measure, because I've counted I can count just the amount of times I repeated the pattern before doing the toe on this first sock, which is my first finished one. And then I can just knit the toe just like that. So that's really, really nice. And I know exactly how much I need to do, which is very practical. So I'm excited. I'm so excited about finishing this. And this is the Cornish cream tea sock pattern by Helen Stewart of Curious Handmade. Absolutely beautiful pattern. Recommend 100% her patterns. I mean, I'm in awe of her as a designer and also just as a pattern writer. It's so beautifully written. Everything about it is so gorgeous. So this has been such a joyful project for me, and I'm definitely going to be knitting another one of her patterns in the future, hopefully in the not too distant future, because it's been just such a pleasure to knit these. So that's my little Cornish cream tea socks, and I'm knitting these out of Regia Premium Cashmere yarn in the shade Pink Parfait, which I've shared before, but which just never fails to amaze me because it's such a beautiful name, and these are such a beautiful pair of socks, such a beautiful project. Holding this also in my little bag by my mother-in-law that she sewed for me, this little origami bag. As you can see, there it is. It's really, really cute and so precious. So I really am enjoying these socks still. Excited to have them off the needles, but been enjoying them. And I think, I have so many ideas for future sock projects. I have quite a few little skeins in my stash that I'm excited to use. And I even have like a little skein of kind of summer sock yarn, which I have never used before. I've only knit with wool sock yarn before. So I'm excited about trying out a different composition of fiber, a different composition of, wool for the sock yarn, not wool. I think it's cotton, a cotton blend. I'm really excited about that too, which is wonderful. So the next project I have to share with you is my little Tudor Roses project. And this project is so much fun. If you're new or you're not familiar, I am knitting patterns from this book this year, The Tudor Roses by Alice Starmore, and I am hosting a knit along with 2 other podcasters, Bella of 100 Acre Wool and Sophie of the Bianca Creations podcast. And we're all just knitting patterns from this book for the whole entire year of 2021. It's a beautiful book with stunning patterns, gorgeous, gorgeous designs, and we've just been enjoying it so much. I've so enjoyed knitting this pattern. I'm so excited to knit another pattern from this book. It's just absolutely gorgeous, and it's so fun to follow along with others and see what they're knitting and what they're making from this book on Ravelry and also on Instagram. If you want to participate in the knit along, you can join now or anytime this year, and you can post about it or go and browse others' work on Instagram under the hashtag Tudor Roses KAL, and also on Ravelry. On my Ravelry group, which has a Tudor Rose thread, you can see lots of amazing progress and finished objects and chatter. It's really so much fun to go peek in there and see what others are doing. But also on Bella and Sophie's podcast knitting groups on Ravelry. They both have awesome knitting groups with lots of fun chatter there too. I love to check out what's in all of the groups. You can double dip, triple dip, quadruple dip when you're on Instagram. It's so fun. So the more the merrier. And for my first project this year, I've been knitting the Elizabeth I. So I'm going to share with you my project today. I have knit another whole entire, chart repeat. Oh no, I'm mid-row right now. This is like very not professional of me to have, but you know what? It is what it is. And in fact, maybe it'll be kind of cool to see. So yeah, this is the Elizabeth I. Since we last spoke, I was here at this point, and I've made progress up to here now. I am knitting, I knit the decreases for the, or the shaping. It's not really decreases, just the shaping for the armholes, which was really cool and a new technique for me because this construction is completely new for me. It's not like anything I've ever done before. So it's really a new, exciting process. And yeah, you can see it there, how it kind of goes up, how it shapes for the armhole. And I think I knit almost like a complete chart repeat here with this beautiful center stitch. You can see it's a deep V that goes here, and it's going like it comes from here all the way down. This cabled pattern. It's really beautiful. So there it is so far, as you can see. Oh, I'm absolutely in love with it. It's just gorgeous. So beautiful. There it is. So that's my Elizabeth I so far. The progress I've made. This yarn was graciously gifted to me by Virtual Yarns, which is the Starmore yarn company, and it's just the perfect yarn for this project. It's so divine to work with. And this is the colorway Machair that I've chosen. So Machair is this colorway. It's a beautiful green, rich, neutral shade. And I love the combination of this yarn with this pattern, the drama of this pattern, the shaping, the simplicity of it. It's just so, I think, beautifully kind of almost juxtaposed against this kind of rustic-y shade of yarn, this kind of very natural shade. In the book, the original pattern, I'll put a picture up here. The design on the website is shown with two other colorways, one of which is, I think, Golden Plover, and the other one, I think, is Pebble Beach, or another kind of bluish light shade. And both of these shades are absolutely gorgeous too. I love how they look, but I really like the way mine is turning out with this kind of just very natural looking color. I mean, they're all of the Starmore yarns, all of the Virtual Yarns shades and colorways are very naturally inspired. In fact, I think they're all inspired by some natural feature or plant or even animal, I think. So they all have their own very beautiful natural inspiration. But I guess this one's just more very, very earthy, I would say. A very earthy, beautiful colorway. And I'm just loving it so much. I'm knitting these on these Chiaogu needles. I think these are a little bit smaller than the suggested needle size. Just to get gauge, I went down a little bit of a size. And these beautiful stitch markers are by Mitgan, who is a wonderful, amazing yarn dyer, natural yarn dyer, and podcaster too. She's a Durham podcaster, so you should check her out as well. And I love her beautiful stitch markers. So that's my Elizabeth I. I've just been knitting on it bit by bit, for most evenings for about an hour an evening, taking my time on it, savoring this process so much. And incredibly, I haven't really, I think I'm going to jinx myself, but you know what? I'm not a super superstitious person, so I'm not going to worry about it really. My husband is quite superstitious. which is funny, but I am not actually that way. But so far I've not made a mistake on this yet. So I did drop a stitch once or twice, but I was able to pick it up right away and fix it and rectify the situation before it got too bad. But I think part of that is because I've been very intentional about my knitting time with this project. I haven't really been like rushing through anything. I'm just taking time and knitting it piece by piece. And that's good for me because sometimes I get in a mode where I'm just like, go, 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 knitting so quickly. And then I end up making a mistake, and that's just not a good thing. Thankfully, that's not happened yet. Hopefully it doesn't happen anytime soon. I'm also holding this beautiful project in this stunning project bag by Noble Character Crafts, who has an amazing podcast and Etsy shop. You can check out her Etsy shop. And if you favorite her Etsy shop, you'll also be able to see when she updates. It has like a little shop update, but she makes beautiful project bags. And there's cat fluff as usual on my things from my cat Sagwa, who's sleeping right here. Actually, he has like a little perch here and he's sleeping right on this perch. And he usually, when I'm filming these podcasts, he's sitting right here, and sometimes he like moves, and he's a very fluffy cat because his breed is an exotic short hair cat, which is a mix or a crossbreed, I don't know, between Persian cats and British short hair cats. So he's very fluffy and he's got like a squished face, but he does shed. And so we have to groom him a lot, and we have to vacuum like a lot, like every day, like at least one time, if not 2 or 3 times, to make sure that his hair doesn't get everywhere. But, it's almost impossible to avoid when you have a little cat like this, especially in the wintertime when we have windows closed. Because here in Germany, in the spring and summer, most of the time we just have windows open all day long for all spring and summer and all night long because we don't have air conditioning. So we need that fresh air, the cross ventilation. And yeah, anyway, I digress. Speaking of this project in the knit along, I did select the winners for my little giveaway for this project, my cast on giveaway, and both of the winners have been contacted via Instagram and Ravelry, which is wonderful. I'm really excited, and it's been so much fun to kind of plan out a little giveaway. I really love it. So hopefully there will be more different kinds of giveaways in the future of this podcast. It's really, really fun to do and to partake in. But anyway, I think that's actually all I have to share with you knitting-wise today. 3 little projects. I really enjoyed spending this time with you. It's been so lovely. This next week, I'm so excited to just get out into nature and enjoy. And I think I'm going to have a little picnic at some point this week because it's getting warmer. It's so nice out. And in the heat of summer, it's not super fun to do that kind of thing, but right now it's just absolutely divine. So I'm going to enjoy that. I hope that you have a wonderful week. I'd love to hear what you're up to, what you're making, what you're doing. It's been so lovely to spend this time with you, and I hope that you're doing well. I look so forward to seeing you next week again for another podcast. If you'd like to find me or get in touch, you can, of course, leave a comment or get in touch with me via Instagram. My Instagram is Merryweather Knitting. You can also always write me a DM or a personal message on Ravelry. My Ravelry is gabriellak, and of course there's the Merryweather Knitting Ravelry group, which you're welcome to join and to come and chat and just be a part of. It's so much fun. I have to start another thread on there or something because right now there's just the Tudor Roses thread. So I'm going to add another kind of thread there, and maybe we can chat about other things. So anyway, I am hoping you have a wonderful week, wishing you a wonderful time. I'm very happy knitting, and I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye!